Hello out there in internet land. It's been a busy day in the Beaver build shop, which is a good thing, even though if it was a bit frustrating. As you can see, I've got the timing chain and cover and water pump and thermostat housing apart and off, and the new part's not exactly ready to go in, but I was using this as a reference to see how many bolts I had to take off in order for the cover to come loose. I missed a couple. I thought there were 2 coming up from the oil pan, but there were 4, so that was fun. Yeah, it's been quite a day. Made a stop at Harbor Freight. Picked up a set of these stubby 1/2-inch standard size impact sockets, and I actually kind of like them. Made pretty darn well, and they seem to fit correctly. And you know, for what I'm doing, they worked really nicely. I've been using the 9/16 one for some of the stubborn bolts on the covers, and I got the metric set because the timing belt, the timing harmonic damper bolt, that's it, jeez, was a 15/16. So I took that off with that, worked nicely. Got a harmonic damper puller, that worked pretty darn well once I figured out that I was originally trying to pull it off with the washer in place, because I didn't realize that that was rusted in place. That was actually stuck there when the bolt came out, so I had to take a picture of it with my camera because I couldn't get my head in there in line, and I was like, oh, there's the washer stuck. So I had to smash around in there with a pry bar and my dead blow. Finally popped off. That was annoying. Man, I do not like this design. Sorry to all you, excuse me, Ford fanboys out there if you love the 5.0 302, which is actually a 4.9, but whatever, engine. I do not like it. Man, having gaskets stacked on different sides of a cover, not having a full oil pan gasket, and the thing that really probably annoys me the most is when you're taking apart the timing cover, all this crud sitting around the edges falls straight into the oil pan. I mean, that's just crazy to me. So I don't know what I'm going to do about that. I've still got a lot of cleaning of crud to do in here, and if you've got any tips or tricks for that, I'm all ears. You know, I was planning on stuffing some paper towels down in there, but that's not going to catch everything, especially when you pull it out. I don't really like this design at all. And then having all that sandwiched together with these long skinny bolts. Speaking of which, 2 of them, one here and one down there. Oh, my LED light ran out of juice. I love this thing, by the way. It's one of the best Christmas presents I've ever gotten. I gotta put that on the charger for tomorrow. But yeah, having all that sandwiched together with long skinny bolts is really not a very good idea. I don't even know. I don't want to get into that right now. But that's pretty much all done. Got a big box of parts here. I did take out the radiator just to get out of the way, give myself a little bit more room. I've got plumbing. So I thought I had everything that I needed with this one kit from Home Depot, and evidently not. I'll show you why. So I thought that the end of that bolted to that, but it doesn't, for obvious reasons. So I need to drop this down, and then the flex line that I've got to go from the valve up to the inlet does not fit, but I at least got the faucet in place, and I've got one of the legs on here. I left the other one out just to give myself a little bit more room to work, and it's pretty sturdy for what it needs to be. I just took a bit of the 2x3 left over and zipped that together in there, and it's good enough for now. I also installed the sink strainer, because this is actually an old kitchen sink. So it's got the bigger sink strainer thing in there, which is not that big a deal. And while I was at Home Depot, I picked up the stuff that I need for taping and mudding, or whatever that's called, for the exterior. I'm gonna get to the interior eventually. I gotta wire it for power and light before I finish the interior, and I also gotta run the last line up and down from the hot water heater. Though that'll come. I'm not too worried about that right this second. The toilet works, and that's pretty much the most important thing. Actually more work came in today. I've got these two headlight assemblies that I'm going to be taking apart and pulling the LED modules out of. I think they're from an Acura RLX of some sort. I forget. But yeah, it's got driver modules and LEDs and stuff in there. They're pretty hefty for what they are. It actually kind of surprised me. And also, something special arrived today. Let me get this stuff out of the way. I got a delivery from Jag 10 Tools. They were kind enough to send me some samples of different things that I probably will get around to using. I've got a flap disc, I guess from BA. I'm not sure what that is, B abrasives or something, but made in the United States, not too shabby. Looks really nicely made. Everything looks really neat on it. It's not like your cheap, really cheap Harbor Freight type stuff. I'll be looking forward to seeing that. I got a thicker 1/8 inch maybe cutoff wheel, 3/32 right there. Thinner cutoff wheel, and then a thin Type 27. I generally prefer the Type 27. Gives you a little bit more wiggle room a lot of the times, and I prefer that. I got a spinny disc. I got to figure out where my angle grinder is. I'll put that to use eventually. More Master Cobalt cut off blades. Those will come in handy eventually. I got to find a recip saw. And then also two of my most common size. I typically use 1/8 inch and 1/4 inch for most of my hole making. 1/8 inch comes in handy for a lot of your riveting on light parts, and 1/4 inch is good for clearancing for substantially larger bits. It's not going to really focus very well, but these are both made in the USA. They look phenomenal. I don't know if I could get that. They're not, that is a split point, so that's good. It's harder to tell on the 1/8 inch. That might be a split point. I can't really tell on the screen while I'm looking at it. But thanks to Jag 10 Tools, they've got a lot of interesting stuff. I do have to say that their website is not exactly as organized as I would like for a seller of stuff, but if you contact them on Instagram, it's really easy to get a hold of them that way, so you can figure out what they've got. I'd prefer to have a nicer online catalog to be able to just browse without bothering, having to wait for a response. Hey, do you have this? But that's okay. I will put these to use, and I may actually be putting these to use rather shortly. Unless I can get myself some left-hand drill bits rather urgently. I need a set. I don't have any at all, which is kind of dumb considering how often I do have to extract bolts. I wish I actually had a MIG welder handy, because if I did, I would probably clean up the exterior on that and then zap a new bolt on and then impact it off. I could TIG it. We'll see. I don't know what I'm going to do. That's for tomorrow. I am tired. It has been a hot day. And I am thirsty. I probably haven't had enough to drink, which is dumb on my part, but that's why I was trying to get the sink done, because I don't really like having to take off the hose, because as you can see, it sort of gets the sheetrock wet when I do that, and that's not good for the sheetrock. And eventually I'll have something else on the sheetrock to help protect it from water, because the slop sink is going to be over in this general vicinity. So that's just, you know, one of those things that I got to get to. But yeah, it's been a pretty darn productive day. I got a little bit of a late start because we got in pretty late last night from my weekend away. So it was a good weekend. I really enjoyed the traveling. It was a good wedding. Happy time, friends getting married, so celebrating that. It was really good. I actually really enjoyed it, so that was good. And yeah, we'll see what else happens soon. Well, I know what's going to happen soon. I'm going to clean this up and get it back in running shape so I can actually tow another project here, and that's actually going to be pretty exciting. So that'll be fodder for a heck of a lot of other videos, and maybe we'll all learn a little something along the way. I have done work on that kind of car before. I'm not going to tell you guys what it is just yet, but yeah, it's going to be good, as it usually is. I tend to luck into, if you believe in luck, and I don't really, I tend to gather interesting projects to do just because I know interesting people, and it really works out well that way. So on that note, I think I'm going to end this by saying, if you like what you see, have any like, subscribe, comment. I am all ears with any suggestions for dealing with this crap. I'm a noob when it comes to Ford V8s, that's for sure. Never really dealt with them. Follow me on Instagram at Beaver Built. You can find me on Facebook, Facebook.com/Beaver Built. Like, comment, subscribe. I think I said that already. And be well and be awesome. Catch you guys later. Bye.